Hello and welcome. You're tuned into Climate Clock, and just ahead of COP28, we are trying to get various opinions and analysis of how this event could turn out to be. What will the big priorities be? Joining me today are two big corporate voices to discuss the same. Venu, MD and CEO, India and South Asia, Hitachi Energy, and Vineet Mittal, Chairman, Avaada Energy. Well, we are trying to understand today what the corporates are expecting from COP28 and what the big steps they are going to take to ensure the sustainable transition. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today on CNBC-TV18's Climate Clock. Mr. Venu, let me start with you first up. From a corporate angle, what do you think are some of the big expectations from COP28? And then, Mr. Mittal, I'll have the same question for you.
Yeah. So thank you very much for having me in your show, and it's a great privilege. As you know, the global stocktake report has come out, and it's a combined climate action plan. And unfortunately, the report is not good, right? So we have an all-time high greenhouse gases and 1.2% increase compared to 2021 level. And so it clearly shows that COP28 is our biggest opportunity to turn a dramatic course correction to put our ambitions to return at a 1.5 degree centigrade climate actions in things. So that's what I'm expecting on that. I'm expecting to further accelerating the renewable energy transition, further acceleration in creating the huge amount of the build-up required for this future energy systems. The future energy systems, in our view, is two things: capable of integrating any renewable sources, be it a solar or wind or hydel, anything in that. And the future energy system is capable of electrifying anything and everything. So that is how we need to build these systems so that we are able to do a carbon neutral future for our not only for our generations, but generations to come that. So my expectations are very simple, that we're going to have accelerating, not by anymore by percentage, but by either 2x or 3x in these investments to have a course correction.
Okay, 2 to 3 times investments and integration across energy mechanisms as well. Take your point, Mr. Venu. But Mr. Mittal, over to you now. What would your big expectations from this big event be?
I think one of the biggest expectation which we have from this is around climate finance. We, as in India, would advocate for adequate climate finance from developed countries to support mitigation and adoption efforts by Global South. Also, I expect loss and damage was announced last year, and the developing nations are looking at creation of that fund and dedicated mechanism to address loss and damage. So that's one of the outcome I'm expecting. And kind of framework for balancing the economic growth with environment protection remains the cornerstone of the entire COP summit. So how we are going to do in our stock taking, like what we promised in 2016, and where do we stand today, and how each countries are going to submit their catch-up plan so that it remains equitable and fair. So I think I expect global North to realize that developed nations have a responsibility to shoulder a greater burden of emission reduction and actually measurable, monitorable, outcome-based COPs meeting, because a lot of very good ideas are coming at every COPs meeting when you attend. But when you see implementation or you see the exact outcome a year later, we are going behind in the last 2 COPs than moving forward. So I expect much more concrete action this time.
Oh no, absolutely. As both of you said, stock take is very important, and we need to see implementation of the many ideas that are discussed in COP every year actually. Mr. Venu, let's take that forward. You spoke about how renewables should continue to be the focus point. We've also spoken about how energy systems, they are the backbone of decarbonization, right? There are no two ways about it. What are the changes that you've seen from last COP to this COP? Have there been any advancements when it comes to the energy systems or the policies around energy transition?
Yeah. Sure. I think let me give you a little bit of a global pitch first. compared to last COP to now, we have added almost 500 gigawatt of solar globally in that. And almost we are adding a $1 billion USD, almost $1 billion USD investments a day being spent on the solar deployment globally in that. And also what's happening is that if you really look at the whole ecosystem, the sunrise sectors, whether it's electrical vehicles, whether it's a solar photovoltaic, the whole industry is evolving it, which is also a very good way forward for us in that. So coming back to the India, we are adding, close to 10 to 13 gigawatt of solar post-COVID, and the government has come out with a lot of, policy standpoint. For example, a viability gap funding for battery energy storage is a one-step direction in that. Today the battery storage prices are still not there where we want to be there, but we want to deploy these new technologies at the same time, and that's where the viability gap funding has come in that. And the second thing is also government was talking about a lot of, creating the infrastructure for deployment of the large scale solar, for example, creating the robust transmission system. So India used to have a 1 HVDC project for every 4 or 5 years, and today we are envisaging every year one large scale of $1 billion worth of a gigawatt HVDC project is coming, because this infrastructure is required to, integrate a large amount of renewables, 5 gigawatt in one location, or 10 gigawatt in one location, to transport to the load centers in that. We see these kind of changes visibly happening compared to the last COP to now.
Okay, so the focus on renewables continues, as you said, and a lot of systems have come into place, and India, of course, is taking a step ahead in most of these policies as well. Mr. Mittal, comment on this, some of the changes that you have seen, and a lot has been spoken about battery storage, something Mr. Venu also mentioned. Do you think policies are in place here? We need more investments in the storage technology, and generally, have you seen that move in some movement here in India itself when it comes to storage technologies?
So as you know that Indian government has come out with an ambitious PLI scheme to encourage even local manufacturing of batteries, but we don't own the required raw materials for becoming probably the best in this space. But what we are blessed is with amazing human talent, with so much of advancement into the new technology. I think India would play a very vital role as far as the storage is concerned. But what is very natural for us, which is green and sustainable, is water batteries, where we are blessed with the kind of geography where India can do another 200 to 300 gigawatt of pumped hydro projects, where we use the abundance of solar and wind power during the day and afternoon, and use it to provide round-the-clock green power to our grid, to our industry. So India has come out with a very positive policy around water batteries as well as storage technology. So I think batteries would be more appropriate for mobility application, and a large gigawatt scale storage using water would be the most appropriate technology for a grid level. And India is working on both the technologies simultaneously. So from an India perspective, I'm seeing a lot of action. But what I also am looking forward is more collaboration on technology, because the global energy transition, sustainable agriculture, bioconservatism, all of these are global issues. Like, say, for example, if we start sharing all the global research openly and help each other to become better at it, I think we will be able to build more cost competitive green transition. The biggest challenge is, as my friend Venu was saying, that we are looking at $500 billion to currently the total energy transition last year happened was around 1.2 to 1.4 trillion. But the world needs more than 4 trillion a year to meet the energy transition target of 2030. So there is a lot more which developed world can do in fulfilling the cost of debt and equity between developing nation and rest of the world. And that is where there is a large opportunity. Even the $100 billion fund which was committed year on year for energy transition is not coming. And that is creating a lot of mistrust in the entire process of COPs itself. That when you promise something at a top level, and then when it comes to stock taking, and you find that that even the easiest thing of supporting in the financing is not happening, it doesn't give an encouraging picture. So from my perspective, I think India is doing a lot of work considering it's very important for our own country's leadership. And India's position in COP28 is crucial given our large population, rapid economic growth, environmental vulnerability, like what we saw in Sikkim. And we are doing a lot of active role in international forum and with the International Biofuel Alliance, International Solar Alliance. India is doing a very good global collaboration role.
Right.
But what is needed is that, say, for example, a hard-to-abate sector or mobility sector, where it was considered before that it will be the most difficult to green. Now with green hydrogen, green methanol, green ammonia, and advancement in electrolyzer technology, it's very much possible to transition it faster. What is needed in the Paris in 2016, the global government signed Article 6.2, where Global South can actually participate and encourage Global North more and more to exchange their carbon emission, which is called ITMO, Internationally Transferable Mitigated Option.
Right.
So to create like a vibrant green ammonia, green methanol economy, like say, for example, European Union has come out with a mandate of 42% on their emitting industry, and it has a target of 10 million ton of import of green hydrogen. And if you translate into terms of methanol and ammonia, it will be a 60 million ton opportunity. So if they decide to source this 60 million ton from Global South, it will create a huge marketplace for all over the world, and the Global South will be motivated to invest more and more into transition.
Right.
So there are a lot of very good policy framework and tools which exist in various COPs meeting. The time has come that put action into place and say these are the low-hanging fruit, like Article 6 alone of creating a global carbon market and global marketplace by using Article 6.2 to encourage global trade on green ammonia, green methanol could be a game changer. And if we do that, I think the cost of green ammonia, green methanol will come down and will become more competitive than the gray. And that would be the biggest achievement for this COPs. So from my perspective, if you ask me, two most important expectation is that use Article 6 to build the global carbon market, and use the subset Article 6.2 to create the global hydrogen marketplace where Global South can contribute meaningfully, would be a game changer, because that will rejuvenate the whole energy sector, because you need a lot more solar, wind, pumped hydro to provide round-the-clock power. It will make sure that the Global South, who does not have capital to subsidize like US IRA, it gets motivated to do it, and it will create a level playing field.
Absolutely.
And that is what WTO head also encouraged something similar in their meeting with the...
I totally take your point, and that's such a precise answer, Mr. Mittal, and throws light on various aspects of COP that we need to take care of as well. But I have to get into a quick commercial break. I'll be back and we'll discuss what is expected from COP28 and what's the corporate view here going forward as well. Just stay tuned. We'll be back in a bit.